gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker today. Let me give you a little bit of background on Jim Chrisley. Jim is the Senior Director of Aviation at Harry Reid International Airport. Jim oversees a variety of functions at the airport, including Airside Operations, construction and engineering facilities, along with the Aviation Department's General Aviation Operations throughout Clark County. Jim was also in the military, and I'd like him to actually share a little bit about that background with you as well. It's a very impressive background. We're very fortunate to have a man of Jim's stature, his know-how, talking about the 10th busiest airport in the country and how he and his staff navigate all the big events that come to town, the conventions, the influx of visitors and tourists, and how that's all handled. And maybe we'll ask him to touch a little bit upon what some of the future plans are as well at Harry Reid International Airport. So would you give a big CBN welcome to Jim Chrisley.
Thank you, Rob. Let's see if we get this TV going here. Come on. All right. Thanks again, Rob, and thank you so much for being here. It's truly an honor to be in front of this group today to give a little background about our community's airport, our airport system here in Clark County. And, as Rob said, I'm the senior director. I've been in this position since about 2015, running the operations of not only the airport, but the county's operations at the airports, but not only at Harry Reid, but also at our 4 General Aviation airports throughout our system and throughout Clark County. Part of that, I was in the Air Force. I served for 20 plus years, retired. We got out to Las Vegas in 2006 at Nellis Air Force Base as a civil engineer assigned to the construction and engineering group up there called Red Horse. And we got to do that with deployable overseas heavy construction unit. So got to go overseas many times. And we still, whenever I was home, I loved Las Vegas. My family loved Las Vegas. So given the opportunity to retire after 20 years, we couldn't wait to get back to Las Vegas and call this my home. Really a great community, and it's very interesting how you, in the military, I ran and maintained Air Force bases. Here we run and maintain airports, so very similar, but still very different. It's been an interesting time. I've loved every minute of the job I've done with the community and the services to the airport system. So with that, let me just get into a little bit before we get into special events and how we do it. Just give you a general baseline of how our airport system works here in Clark County. And a little history to begin, but we just celebrated our 75th anniversary in December. So back in 1948, the carrier field was established at the current site of our commercial airport. They used to fly mail. And if the mail was the priority, so if someone was trying to fly somewhere, the mail was there, guess who got bumped? The person. They had to wait for the next 6 months. But 1968, obviously they built the commercial terminal, and what we have A and B gates now, our collection buildings, they've been there since 1968. They might be in need of a little bit of a refresh and remodeling as we see here today, but I'll talk a little bit about that. 1998, the D gates were constructed, Terminal 3 in 2012. And then obviously our renaming, our most recent highlight in 2021, with Clark County Commission designated a renamed airport from McCarran to Harry Reid. We are, as Robin said, we're the 10th busiest airport, but one thing we like to look at, a lot of the airports out there, the big airports are home airports, right? People come in, change planes, and continue on to their destination. Harry Reid, we're the 4th busiest origin and destination airport, meaning everyone's showing up at the airport, parking, using our curbs, using the ticket counters, using the checkpoints, using our facilities. And then on the way in, they're using the same stuff on the reverse for baggage claim to ground transportation. Fourth largest, so 86% of our passengers actually use all our facilities. In Atlanta or Chicago, they're really just staying inside the gate areas. It's a whole different animal or operation there that they have to focus on. But we are an integrated system, as I mentioned. Harry Reid's critical. That's our only commercial service airport in the county. But we do also have North Las Vegas Airport. That serves primarily our GAA, our flight schools, our hobbyists. They park and they operate out of there. In fact, North Las Vegas is the second busiest airport in the state. Second only to Harry Reid, which puts it well ahead, actually well ahead of Reid. Second largest commercial airport. So North Las Vegas is a very, very busy airport. We have our airport in Henderson. It's Henderson Executive Airport. The purpose of that airport is to attract larger business jets, business aircraft. So we have a lot of base customers with large aircraft in their hangars. Large weekends, we can attract those private jets that can. It's actually sometimes more convenient to fly in Henderson. And of course, we have General Aviation, which is just south of Gene. That's where we have parachutists. We have our glider operations, banner tows, banner tow aircraft. We all operate there. And then Overton, which is up in Logandale, just about 70 miles north. That's more of just a rural General Aviation. The point of all this is that North Las Vegas and Henderson airports, they are there to draw some of that business jet or General Aviation traffic. And often Harry Reid to allow that airport to use primarily for commercial service, which allows more people to fly in, more people to come to our community, more people to spend money to do economics. But, you know, Harry Reid is a very attractive airport. It's a unique airport in regards to how close it is to the shore. Right? It's less than 2 miles. We have over 190 aircraft gates. We have 4 runways, 2 sets of parallels. The record in 2023 was 57.6 million passengers. It was beat the record by more than 5 million in 2022, and continue to escalate as we move forward as the community transforms. 30 airlines, 159 domestic and international markets. Very few other airports can provide as much nonstop service that we can. Our TSA checkpoint is ranked 6th busiest in the nation overall. And I'll tell you, every Sunday and Monday, it ranks #1 as far as the number of passengers trying to get through that checkpoint. And overall, batch employees, those that work at the airport directly, we have over 18,000 employees. Clark County itself, we have approximately 1,400 employees. When you count the airlines, all businesses, everyone else is back. How we operate, we are a county department under the direction of the Clark County Board of County Commissioners, but we're also an enterprise fund, so we collect all our revenues from our ground transportation, our businesses, our concessions, and then the airlines also pay to rent space to operate on the airport. So we're totally independent, we're non-tax dollars, we generate all our own funds and pay all our own fees. So with that, we also collect facility charges, and we also receive a lot of federal money. Good. Can you guys hear me now better? Is that better? All right, good. So we also get a lot of federal money. With that comes all the federal grant assurances. So certain streams attached when we get airport improvement program funds, which help pay for all our airport and runway, taxiway improvements. And we also use revenue or airport revenue bonds to fund larger scale projects. And of course, BIL, which is the bipartisan infrastructure law, that provides, we're still in year 3 of that. So that gave us an infusion of almost 48 to 50 million a year for airport construction projects. Year 3 with 2 years to do. So economic impact, we like to talk about this as well, but we had Oxford University did a study for us a few years back. It was basically, it came out 35 billion annually in economic impact. 28 billion attributed to visitors arriving via our airport, and and with that, nearly half of the folks that visit our community come through the airports. The other half are drive-in. So we're a huge engine, or part of the engine that makes this community thrive. And we're also very proud of the fact that we understand we're all about attracting and getting return visitors to the airport. We like to call ourselves the first and last link of Las Vegas. So we want folks to come in, have a great experience when they arrive, have a lot of fun when they're here in the community. When they leave, have a great experience so they want to come back for more trips. We take that very seriously and we try to make the airport part of the experience. For example, for Super Bowl, we were very well regulated. We had Super Bowl picture stations where they could stand in front of the Super Bowl 58. We had other free giveaways to get them excited about the event. And we do that on a regular basis. Internationally, we are finally this year, since post-pandemic, we just recovered to nearly 99% of our international traffic. So we are back, our numbers are back, and that's all good news for that. But we do fly worldwide, and we truly are international. This is just a quick summary. As you can see, our passenger traffic over the past 40 years. See the ebbs and flows. You can probably look at that and point out, you can see 9/11 there, a little dip. The Great Recession of 07, 08, took a little while to recover from that. And then obviously the pandemic, you see where we went from record-breaking January to absolutely no in the 20s. So eerie thing. And but as Las Vegas always does, and as this graph depicts, we bounce back so quickly. The V-curve is there. Back to post-pandemic or pre-pandemic levels, always breaking new records with 57.6 last year. So what sports and special events? That's been, when the Allegiant Stadium was proposed, they're very involved and integrated with that planning process because anywhere a stadium goes, it's going to cause issues with overflights. We didn't want any adverse impacts of a special event that would limit what the airport could do. So we were very concerned about the location. So we were involved with that since the very concept, and where it ended up is almost a perfect spot for Harry Reid, where the events can go on fairly seamlessly without impacting airport operations. We knew that stadium was going to be a game changer just for that large, mega type event with 65,000 seats, and fully expecting that people that were going to come to those events that we can now host as a community were going to come to our airport as well, either through the commercial side or through the private business jet side. So, as we saw, and we also knew when you get a new football stadium, what do you get? You get a Super Bowl. It came a little quicker than expected, but we got our Super Bowl, and I'll say we survived the Super Bowl. And then they throw the Sphere on top of that, another 20,000 seat. Opening day of the Sphere, the guest list for that was unreal. Just can imagine how many folks that went to that 20,000 seat U2 concert came in on a private jet. They weren't flying Spirit, they weren't flying Southwest, they were flying And we were, with the stadium and then the Sphere, we were in the process, so we started building some expanded General Aviation business jet parking in Henderson. We got that project done about 18 acres, I think we were happy. And then with the stadium, we found this phenomena of, wow, they like to host, neutral site sporting events. So not only do you get, instead of one traveling team, you get two traveling teams. And traveling teams bring their boosters on wide-body jets. They bring their bands on charter jets. They bring everything. So we're talking, from one football team with one wide-body that has to be handled privately to 7 or 8 jets that had to be handled. So we also had to expand ramp space at Harry Reid. Because Harry Reid is the only airport that can handle those wide-body commercial jets, whether they're charter or commercial. So we had to make room there, so we expanded on the west side of our airport another 12 acres to handle those charter-type flights. So we were doing a lot of prep work, getting ready for the Super Bowl. And as we were working on that, then they announced Formula One, so we had to focus our efforts on Formula One as well. And the coordination, communication with those event planners, with others in the community to make sure we understood what the needs were. This was all first-time stuff for us, not knowing exactly how it was going to play out. Like for Super Bowl, the year before, we sent a team to Phoenix to observe how it was going to play. Then you go to the Super Bowl, they got to go to the airport to see what would happen at the airport. Brought back a plethora of lessons, and for that next year, we were doing nothing but planning and focusing to get ourselves organized and prepared to be able to handle these flights with the private aircraft, all the commercial aircraft, and as well as all the passengers. Very, we like to call them VVIPs that were going to come to the event, which they did. The team did do fabulously, and One thing we remember 5 or 6 years ago, Phoenix had a bad Super Bowl, where everyone was delayed it was just the airport was in the news for a week after that. We did not want to be that airport. And thank God we had some beautiful weather on the departure day after Super Bowl, which helped us really be successful. But the general aviation traffic is on the rise across the country. More and more people are opting or now have the financial means to fly privately, and that does impact us. And they want to come to Vegas to attend some of our private events and private jets. On big weekends, minus the Super Bowl or Formula One, we do reach capacity at Harry Reid. And with the expansion of the ramps at Henderson, we're able to accommodate that now. And but the other concern is not just the stadium, it's there's overlapping events. So if we have something at T-Mobile, MGM Grand Garden, and then they do something at the Sphere, we can't get those influx, those complicated events where there's 3 or 4 different groups of folks all coming on the same weekend. So those Sundays of very busy private jet and very busy traffic are getting more and more frequent. And you can imagine with the A Stadium coming, we're expecting that to get more and more ACS. But with that, our reliever airports at both North Las Vegas and Henderson are more and more important to help relieve that pressure of that general aviation traffic. So the commercial traffic and Harry Reid can stay on schedule and get folks to come out here as possible. So Formula One, that was very different. I mean, let me just start off saying Formula One and Super Bowl are two very different events from an airport perspective. Formula One was just another event on their circuit, and however, the Formula One staff were so focused on getting the track built and getting the logistics of the site, they were very minimally involved with sharing how the airport would function and part of that. But with Formula One, though, all the 8 wide bodies, so 747 size aircraft, brought in a lot of cars, as you can see there in the picture. That's the pace car and the safety car. They actually came into the air at the airport where everything was trucked to the Formula One site and just set up. So all the team's equipment, all the cars, everything came via air because we were prior to the release. We had to set up a special off-road Oman area to get the trucks back on the truck. All these trucks coming onto the airport had to be security screened, had to be loaded, and had to be taken off the airport and then escorted to the site. So it was quite the planning operation of getting all that cargo in. And then at the conclusion of the race, before us, they were in South America. It was 2 weeks. The cargo had to trickle in and allowed to be. But when the race ended here, they had to be in Dubai the following Wednesday. So all that cargo came back Sunday, starting about 5 o'clock. And it was non-stop cargo jets for the entire night until all 9 was planes were loaded and shipped out. It was an amazing operation. The Formula One staff that they assigned or hired to do that was an amazing cargo operation. And then the event itself, of course, I saw on TV, anybody was here, from Shaq to you name anything this year. These soccer players were all here. They all came by. I guarantee they all came on their own aircraft. We had 1,200 GA arrivals to bring them all in, 898 departures, all record-breaking. We had 73 international private arrivals, and in anticipation of this, we actually set up a CBP processing at Henderson Airport. We actually had 9 planes that were international arrived and were processed at Henderson. That was a first. And another big first, the Boeing 747-800. That's the largest aircraft out there right now. Cargo-wise, that would obviously operated Harry Reid flawlessly. It's a Group 6 aircraft, so we did such a good job. They're coming back next year. But like I said, Super Bowl, that was a different event. I mean, so Formula One they have a team here. They really don't know what's going on big picture because they're worried. The Formula One staff's worried about what races that week. So when they got to us, they started worrying about this. Super Bowl, they have an entire organization that does nothing but plan for Super Bowl. So from the day after the previous Super Bowl, we were meeting and coordinating with them, understanding, and they were giving us their requirements. They were planning. It was a much better organized, much easier to deal with. But it was also going to be a much more taxing on the airport system. Formula One, it ended up being the cargo operation on private jets, but Super Bowl, it was everything from private. Instead of cargo, each team gets to bring in friends and family. So each team brought in 4 wide bodies of unsecured passengers on charters that we had to deal with. So they were the cargo operations, so we had to bring in buses, bag trucks, screen, offload all these folks on Friday. And the teams came in the week prior. We had to meet and greet the teams, had to do special arrangements for that. We had the terminal decorated with the Super Bowl 58. It was Super Bowl provides volunteers. We had hundreds of volunteers in the Super Bowl host committee that came to the airport to help greet everybody coming in. And that's the Chiefs plane arriving there. The United had both charters for the teams, and as they pulled up, they put the team flag out the front. It was pretty cool, and to be a witness to it. And just a little inside baseball, I should have bet some money, but the Chiefs, when they came off, they were all business. They all walked down this road. Patrick Mahomes walked right into his bus, got on his bus, sat down. When Niners came in, they were all high-fiving. Oh, Vegas! Right? They were cheering at us. And we're like, huh, is that loose or business-like? What wins? So I should have went with business-like. Pick the Chiefs as the ultimate. As you see that picture on the top, that was our GA ramp, so we were completely full. All of our airports, to include Boulder City, which is not our airport, but still close to the community. Every parking spot for any GA aircraft was completely saturated. As you can see, we had 880 operations at Harry Reid, almost 1,000 at Henderson, and 400 in North Las Vegas. And then we actually used Gene Airport for overflow for some of the small airports. And then on Monday following Super Bowl, the Super Bowl people told us you're going to break your checkpoint record on Monday. So, sure enough, he was right. We broke our all-time record, almost 104,000. It was just quite an amazing experience to see this play out as it went through. The host committee, the Super Bowl staff, and contractors that they hired with us all the way to help guide us and help get us through all the hiccups that needed to go wrong. Like I said, that Monday was a beautiful weather day, and everything was off without a hitch, which was great. It was so great that they decided that it was still going to be busy Tuesday, so we had a busy Tuesday. But yeah, a lot of preparation, coordination, communication to get these events successful at the airport, but two completely different events just from the nature of the event and how it fits into the organizations that we're planning. We couldn't do it all alone. We do have key partnerships, Federal Homeland Security, the FAA, of course, FBI, LVCBA, Metro, all that. They were all key components to all of this to keep it safe, secure, and flowing properly. One key partnership I'd like to point out with TSA that we do have in Harry Reid at Terminal 3, we partnered in with probably 5 years ago, but they were looking for a location to test the latest, greatest technology. They have a very drab lab back in DC where they test a new scanner, or they test a new security initiative, but they didn't have a place where they could test it with real passengers and real security officers. So we had a lower level. When T3 was built, it was supposed to be a checkpoint. It was never built. But we did allow them, TSA came in and said, hey, we'd like to set up this innovation test checkpoint site where we can test all the latest, greatest technology with real passengers. And our benefit would be additional checkpoint capacity on those really busy days. So we did partner with them, and it's operational today. But they've got some, if you ever guys get an opportunity to fly out of T3, I'd recommend trying to see if it's open to go through that. It's really cool to see the latest, greatest stuff. To include what's coming next is self-screening, where you screen yourself. They'll be observing you, but you'll be going through the process of we've got one of those almost set up portions of it. So, really cool thing that we have there. And I can't be remiss without talking about growth and encroachment, right? That's Harry Reid Airport on the left side. That's the Las Vegas sign in 1950. Now you look at our airport today, right? There is absolutely, we are a downtown airport, we are an urban airport, we are fully encroached. And with the demand and the continuing increase in demand for aviation, if you look at that picture, you can understand why. There's just no place to grow or expand that airport without. If you tried to go to the west, you'd be taking out the strip, that's not going to be happening. If you try to go to the south, that's 215 and Sunset Boulevard. That's not happening. So we are fully constrained, fully encroached, and absolutely need to. That's 2,800 acres, probably the most efficient 2,800 acre airport in the world. The amount of people we put through, the amount of traffic that goes through there.
And it's getting and as I mentioned earlier, we are getting to the point where some of our facilities are starting to age. They're albeit well maintained, but to the point of where we need to start thinking about what we're going to do, expand and add additional capacity. So one of the things that's been on the rise, there's been a lot. We've been working on this again. This project started back in the 90s. Was an idea. Got to the recession in 2006, and it was put on pause. 2018, my boss Rosemary Vasiliadis went back to the Board of County Commissioners and said, we need to restart thinking about this. Our numbers are returning from the recession. We need to start getting the planning going. So we did. And, slow roll, pandemic in there as well, kind of trying to justify the need of the FAA when there were 0 people in the terminal. It was a little tricky in that time, but we knew we'd be back, and the numbers are playing out. So as we continue to grow at Harry Reid, the justification for a second commercial airport is really presenting itself again. So where this is between Gene and Prim. So back in 2000, Congress had an act that they provide the ability to get 6,000 acres. That's the orange rectangle there. So that would be the actual airport site along I-15 and the UP Railway between Gene and Prim on the east side. That would be the site of the airport with the terminal, connectivity to the north. The gray hatched is a transportation utility corridor that would connect the airport site on the east side of 15. It's a half-mile wide for the purposes of transportation and utilities to build the airport. And then to prevent what we see here, right, a completely encroached airport, there's a dash line. Congress also passed a second act where we get 17,000 acres surrounding that new airport site for the purposes of compatible development. So once we get an environmental record of decision or positive record of decision, we'll also obtain that 17,000 acres to build compatible, aka non-residential, non-airport controversial development. So we'll be actually owning that land as well. Currently, we graduated in December. FAA finally said you proved this airport is needed, you proved it's a feasible project, so we are now entering into the environmental phase. So we're in the process of selecting a consultant to draft the environmental impact statement, with hopefully moving towards a notice of intent, and that's when the federal clock begins. And at that point, they'll have 2 years to finish the EIS and issue the record of decision. And once we get that, it's on the design, construction, etc. with an opening day of 2037 is what we're on for today. So it's a ways off still, but it's a very massive project. And one thing I could say is, Harry Reid is getting busier and busier every year, and what this airport will provide is a traditional commercial service. But like I said, Harry Reid is aging. We can't wait till 2037 for an airport to last year or so, we've also focused on what's the long-term plan for Harry Reid. How do we get the most out of our 100 acres that we can? So the first part of this new planning phase is how do we modernize our current airport? How do we maximize the number of gates, the facilities, etc. For those of you who've been here a while, you remember Terminal 2. That's an old terminal that was demoed after Terminal 3 was built. So we have that footprint we call beachfront property. How do we insert additional gates, new facilities to maximize that, and then allow us to demolish and replace some of the other aging AV gates, for example, C gates potentially. D and Terminal 3 are currently our newest infrastructure. So we're going to study that and figure out a plan on a way to do that. The next part is the connectivity, right? When it's been to the airport on a busy Sunday, traffic is bad. So how do we improve connectivity not only to the airport, to the strip, our primary economic engine? We got to get the people from the airport to where they need to be. We got to get them back. But how do we connect within the facilities themselves? So we're going to be looking at flyovers and other connectivity that get T3, T1 seamlessly connected. How do we're looking at multimodal centers to the north. How do we get traffic off our roads? So imagine a multimodal would be a bus, and the Ubers would all have to go to this location versus coming all the way through system. So that's another thing we're looking at, which will also include additional parking. For those that have seen lately, we have parking deficiencies that we're trying to address as well through this connectivity and maximization. And then finally, expansion. That's the side of the So maximizing connected, we got to work on that simultaneously as we go through that process to expand in the south. And as you can see, we recently purchased some land at the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Sunset. It's the old Part 3 golf course as well as the sports park. So we see that as a south multimodal that could potentially be that connection point between Harry Reid, the new airport, and the strip. So bright light is just down the road as well. Our rental car center in that area as well. So how does that all connect together? So those are the initiatives we're going to be starting in the very near future while we continue to track down that side. So with that, seamless plug if you want to get to know more about us, but we'd be happy to take any questions.
The question related to parking. Okay. We said it needs to be something to get parking lot.
Okay.
No. Long-term parking, we pay parking. We use the day log and sell our gear.
We had economy.
And public. So the economy line, which is great, you know, it's parking.
Sure. Adjacent to the structure.
That's always cool. So we're more it's really big grade.
Yeah, so we had all the
What's the
employees.
question?
Well, I'm sorry, the question is what are we doing about parking as far as the economy parking lot that we used to have over a year ago has now been relocated to Terminal 1. And the question I think is what are they using that for and why have we reduced the size of the parking? So we had employees, we had an unbelievable amount of employees that were all parking within the garage and in that surface line of Terminal 1. So they were able to park everyone and we were forcing more and more customers now to have to take a bus. Right? So we wanted to improve that customer experience and at the same time get the employees room to expand because we keep growing and growing as the operations grow, we keep more employees on that as well. So with that, as economy, a lot seems small, but we also have a very large garage in Terminal 3 that's allowed that we've connected with additional buses. So if that lot's full, Terminal 3 is available for overflow. They either go to the Terminal 3 checkpoint or take it from people shuttle back to Terminal 3 to get that better experience than waiting out in the economy.
Are there any plans to run the monorail into the airport?
No, the monorail is currently, I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago. When Terminal 3 was built, they had the opportunity to build a station in Terminal 3, and they chose not to. The monorail company could not afford to build something like that. And as the monorail sits today, the future is kind of in flux. It's aging. They don't know what they're going to do with it when it does reach its end of life, so they have no plans to expand it. We're going to study going vertically. Yeah. We can add underground.
I just thought it was a good idea.
It is. Not to get too much engineering, but the soils of this valley are very difficult to deal with. It's always better to stay above it. Not have to deal with things like leaching. Water, high water tables, first water table. Thank you.
How many, what's the max capacity for passengers per year?
Yeah, it's we get that question a lot, and we used to try to answer it, but right now it's not a definitive number. It's really not a number because every time you think you get there, the airlines will do something different. So they've taken their 737s that used to carry 120 folks, now they're carrying 180, soon to carry 210. Give a passenger number, the airlines will adjust it. It'll be our numbers. So what we're really looking at is the number of operations, cause delay, which cause delay and then impact the rest of the national airspace system. And when that happens, that's when airlines and stop adding flights. They can't get a reliable yield of an aircraft because it's always delayed or it misses connections and causes them issues. That's when we'll reach capacity. So saying that, right now on a busy Sunday, we are definitely on the national map of a delay on a very busy Sunday. But we're not there on a daily basis, and they'll continue to adjust schedules. And when they start getting delayed, the airlines will adjust schedules, they'll adjust aircraft size to accommodate it. So as we sit today, as the FAA has put out their latest analysis, they see us getting congested in the next 5 years, meaning minor impacts to the mass. So the number is going to depend. We are going to reach at some point, we will be that point where we are delaying airport. FAA has certain things they do. When they start impacting the entire airspace system, they can start implementing things like slot programs, other things that really we don't want to do. So to have this future airport on the list is going to be very helpful when we have those discussions. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the bullet train affecting?
Yeah, I mean, it's
The bullet train? Is that what you said?
so what's the impact of the bright line, right? The high-speed rail, right? From what I understand, that train's going to probably run 6 or 7 times a day, right? Probably only on busy days or demand days. It's going to hold around 400 passengers. So that's what, 3,000 a day. One 737 holds 180. So one train, I mean, we have 1,200 flights a day. So as far as the impacts to the airport, will it help congestion on the highway? Maybe. Yeah, I think that'll if that takes off, 200 cars, I guess it can help. But certainly no impacts when we can see that draw in traffic.
Time for one more?
No, it'll be a full-up commercial service airport. Due to the terrain, it will have 2 runways. One will be 15,000 feet to ensure we can get the wide-body international off of there. We need that much length, so it'll have a full standalone terminal, parking, etc. So it'll be a full commercial. And as we learned from the special events, we're also going to have GA parking there as well. So General Aviation. As we see today. Yeah, this is nearly the summer. Karen is not going to go anywhere. Harry Reid is not going to go anywhere. I haven't said that a lot. Trip me up. We have a jar back at the office. It's called the M-word jar. I gotta go for $5. It's up to like $5 because it's good.
How about a big hand?
That was outstanding. Thank you, Jim. Next month, we're going to, for the June CBN, we're going to have a panel. It'll be a corporate professional, a small business owner, and a nonprofit representative. And we're going to talk about the challenges of hiring, maintaining, especially those who are younger, and some of the struggles that businesses have to hire and retain good workers, because this generation that's coming up is not as maybe innovative and desirous to work in some of the industries that are so prevalent these days. So it should be very interesting. It'll be from different perspectives. So we hope you'll come. Before I close, I'd like to ask Laura Wadley. She doesn't know this, but to come forward. Laura is one of our board members for CBN, and I'd actually like her to close us in prayer. Would you be okay with that? Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming.
All right, so do bow with me. Father God, thank you so much for our speaker today. We ask that you bless Jim and his boys and the rest of his family. We ask for your blessing and your your guidance upon all of the people that are represented here, all the ministries, all the businesses, and all the influence that we have in this wonderful city that you've placed us in. Father, lead us as we go out and help bring us back together again next month. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.